And I'm sure it'll be higher by then.
Exactly. That's it. You just let it go. All right. I believe we are live here now on the Awesemo YouTube channel here. We're going to do a little MLB live before lock, even though the lock is not until 1:05 today. We have two main slate basketball events going on with the NBA playoffs. So we have all sorts of sports going on after us. So we just said, hey, we're baseball, not much is going to change. We're starting to get some of the starting lineups in. So we said, yeah, we can go. We can be the first ones here. No problem. But you'll definitely get two different live before locks today. You're going to get the deep dive strategy show, all sorts of other goodness out here on Awesemo. But let's kind of jump in here with today's slate. Weather, nothing too dramatic, except it looks like there could be some storms coming into the DC area later this afternoon. I'm about 30-40 miles away as the crow flies from Baltimore. So that's the Nationals are off in Arizona, so we don't have to worry about them. But Baltimore could see a little bit of rain later in the day. We're seeing some rain up and down the East Coast a little bit as well. Nothing to worry about in New York since they're not there today. But Boston looks like it might get a little bit of rain again in the evening. And then Colorado is they're having thunderstorms again. Last night they had a slight delay. I don't anticipate any postponement or anything like that, but that's the other one to think about. But the odd thing, Sunday, the slate's saying, no, we don't feel like having Coors Field. It's a 3:00 game. We're just that's too far. That's too much for you guys to have. So no Coors Field today. But we're jumping in. Let's go with we just got the Baltimore starter. This is your team. This is my third straight show with a co-host who is a New York Yankees fan.
We got a lot of them at Awesemo.
It certainly seems that way. But we've got Jordan Montgomery here going against Adam Plutko, who you guys are going to remember was a starter the last couple seasons for Cleveland. He is no longer a starter, so he is acting as the opener in what could be a true bullpen game here. We were talking a little bit about this before the show, so I'm just going to turn it over to you. Feels like another spot for the Yankees bats.
Yeah, this lineup for the Yankees, though, is kind of strange.
It's not a Sunday lineup.
Yeah, not very deep. Like Ryan Lamar, Tyler Wade. These aren't the names that I'm used to seeing from the Yankees. And
some of these guys are dead.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Lamar, I think he was on the Twins. I want to say the Twins.
Ooh, yes, that's a good callback. I believe you're.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're going to be over-owned. I'm seeing that they're 15% ownership share, 10% top stack in our top stack percentage. Never want to be over the field on a stack that's going to be over-owned like this. And just not very deep here. I mean, Judge is hitting the ball better than he ever has. So I have no problem with taking like a Judge one-off. But I don't know if I want to take 5 guys from the Yankees here. Voit is just coming off of an injury. He's not really fully back yet, and he's 5.4K. Yeah, I know Plutko's going to pitch like an inning and a half, and then they're going to go to other guys in the bullpen. I'm assuming they're going to mix and match. Baltimore's always a good hitting spot. This is, like you mentioned, another weather game where we're not sure that they're going to go the full 9. They're probably going to end up playing this game in the rain at some point. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go under on the Yankees here, EMac.
That makes a lot of sense. We've got a lot of this is an interesting slate in that our early games, the 1:00 games, if you will, have our better hitting options.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the 2:00 games, and it's a whole lot of I wouldn't mind any of these guys as an SP2. So while we may drag our way through some of these earlier games, the later ones are going to be a little quicker. But I kind of agree. This was not the expected Yankees lineup that I was hoping for. Yeah. It's not horrible, but we're getting a lot of, they're spendy for what we're getting. Gio Urshela has been dealing with a sore knee, but he's back. So that's a nice spot for him. You do get shortstop eligibility out of him over on DraftKings. Yeah. I'm not interested in Gary Sanchez at 5.1. However, after that, Clint Frazier, Miguel Andujar, don't hate those guys as a little bit of differentiation, a little bit of cheapies to help us get some of the other more expensive hitters on the slate. Really not that many pitchers to pay up for. A whole lot of good pitchers, no great pitchers. So this will be kind of more of a tournament strategy where I'm probably going to set 7 or 8 different pitchers at like 30% and just let it ride. So usually what I'll do in those situations is I'll start there, and then I'll go look and see where the masses are and where the field is, and then I'll decide, am I going up 10% or down 10% from those, and that's where I'll look to get my differentiation. I have a feeling we'll talk about the Toronto game, but that's where I think a lot of the bats are going to come from for me, not and everybody else, but it's more about, okay, well, I'll roll with the field there. I'll differentiate among my pitchers, because there's going to be 5 or 6 guys that have 20, 25 plus DK points. I just don't know which of the 12 that are in that category are going to be the ones to do it. So it's a little bit trickier here. Anything that we don't have the Baltimore official batting order yet, but how do you feel about taking anyone against Jordan Montgomery? I really don't want to pitch him, but I don't really want to take people against him either.
Yeah, I think he's a good GPP option just because of his ownership, only projected at 6% and 7,800. He's a guy that's going to give up some hard contact. And in Camden, it's not great to give up hard contact because usually the ball doesn't have to go very far to go out of the yard here. But he does, like his last start, hit a 20% swinging strike rate. So there is upside here. They never really want to pitch him that deep in the game just because he had Tommy John and he's pretty injury prone. So I think the most he's thrown this year is 89 pitches. But like his last start, he got 31 DK points. So he can give you that ceiling game in the spot. So I wouldn't rule him out of your GPP lineups today. As far as Orioles hitters, I always like to target the power bats here, especially like Hayes at 3.7K against the lefty. It's lefties much better than those righties. Hayes, Mancini, and Mountcastle are my preferred bats here.
Okay. All right, on to our next game here. This is San Francisco in Pittsburgh. This is kind of an interesting one here. I've got, so we've got Odd Shopper here. They're kind of the sponsor of the show, one of our sister sites here. Actually, a very helpful tool for both daily fantasy sports as well as for sports wagering. So we can go there and look at all sorts of player props, compare the overs and unders and the various lines and the juice, etc., from a variety of different wagering sites. Alex Wood's kind of interesting here. So he has a 5.5 over under, and it's sort of interesting to see that if you go look at the YouTube algorithm flags us when we say various names. So you can look at one sports book here, and it's a minus 154 for the under. The best sports book is a minus 127. Wow, so what that is saying is you've got minus 154 is you got to bet 154 to win 100 back. Would you rather do that, or would you rather go to the other sports book that is going to let you wager, $27 less to win that? That's a dramatic difference between these, and that just all comes off your profit. It doesn't it's not going to change the number because it's both of them are under. So it's kind of interesting to see that sort of thing. But that's why we have Odd Shopper. And if you're in a state where, like Virginia, they've just allowed sports wagering here. So all these sites are just giving away bonuses and free bets and promotions and all of this. So it makes sense to sign up for a bunch of these. You can sign up through Odd Shopper. If you click through any of these on our links, it automatically routes you with, when we get a little cookie back from them, but it routes you with whatever their best deal of the day is. My wife is watching the news every morning and she's tired of FanDuel, DraftKings, etc., the sportsbook. She's like, bet 1 to win 100 and make it rain. She just says that all the time. I'm like, no, can we not say that? And she's like, I have to watch them. They'll be back to back to back on the morning news show. She said, that's all we see anymore. So I'm like, and she's like, well, which ones are you playing? I said, I'm on a few of them. How much are you betting? I'm like, hardly anything. I'm focused on one, but I get all these deals. I was trying to explain that to her. But anyway, Odd Shopper is the way to go, especially as you get in there on this one. 5.5 over under here for Alex Wood. I still think I like the under, but he is one of my earmarked pitchers for this matchup. How are you feeling about Wood going against the Pirates?
He's in a great spot. I think he's the most expensive pitcher on the slate, second most expensive after McCullers, which we're not used to seeing from Alex Wood. But he does have the upside in the spot. I'm surprised his ownership only projected at 13% on DK in our top pitcher tool. That feels low to me. Obviously, Pittsburgh, not a very good lineup. Very few good hitters in this in this lineup. They're like batting Will Craig 5th and Jacob Stallings 4th. Yeah, pretty much like a minor league lineup here. And what has really gotten his strikeout numbers up this year? His swinging strike percentage has been in the double digits every start except for Colorado. And we can excuse Colorado because the curveball doesn't really have any drop there, and that's one of his pitches. So, yeah, I mean, whatever. Wood is in a great spot here. I definitely think that you should be over the field on Wood. Only 3.3 projected runs for Pittsburgh. Definitely a great spot for Wood here.
All right. If you were taking any hitters against him, does anybody stand out at all?
I mean, Brian Reynolds is the best hitter on this team, but like if you look at his StatCast numbers, they're still not great. Like X slugging 476, but only 34% hard hits. So like we're grading on a curve here when we're looking at the Pittsburgh lineup. So yeah, I mean him and I guess Stallings is catcher eligible and has been hitting the ball decently this year in the 4 spot.
All right. On the other side, we have Mitch Keller. I'm not dramatically excited about him as a pitcher. I'm actually okay. I was waiting to see for the San Francisco lineup. They've had Brandon Crawford's been a little bit dinged up, but he's got home runs in the last 2 games. You got Brandon Belt, who's a little dinged up. He's in the lineup today. You got Stremski, who's been out hit or miss there. He's in the lineup. You got Tauchman. You got Alex Dickerson. Got a lot of lefties here. I'm actually feeling pretty good about this game. The only thing is that PNC Park is generally a pitcher's park, not to the extent that Oracle Park is, where obviously the Giants play their home games. So I'm okay with this one. And we're getting, outside of Yaz, we're getting pretty favorable prices here. Dickerson is only 3,300 on DK. Brandon Crawford, again, his average is garbage right now, but he's getting home runs and stolen bases, which is helpful. I had to look him up a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, isn't he like 37 or whatever? I think he's 34, if I remember correctly. So it just feels like he's literally played forever. Yeah. But he's still getting it done. And the price on Yastrzemski is going to keep most players away or gamers away from this one. How are you feeling about the Giant side of this?
I did not expect to say this, but I think this is my favorite stack on this on the slate. I know they're only projected for like 4.2 runs, but that's partly because of the park. But Keller's just bad, and my dog agrees, by the way. So that's always
no. And now my dog's barking too. So clearly,
So we got approval there. Yeah, I mean Keller's numbers: 50% hard hits he's giving up this year, X slugging of 455, 13% walks, and only 19% strikeouts. I mean, this is just a prime spot for the San Fran Bats, and they actually have really decent power numbers this year. Buster Posey, X slugging 604. That's insane. The guy's like turned back the clock. It's just really interesting to see. Brandon Belt, Dickerson, Longoria, Brandon Crawford, like you mentioned, X slugging 506. The guy's really hitting the ball hard this year. He changed his launch angle where he's hitting more fly balls and line drives, which is always going to be good for your power numbers. Really like the Giants here. Favorable pricing. And what really gets me on them is they're actually projected for only 5.6% ownership share and 6% of being a top stack. So you're actually getting positive leverage here, which will give you an edge on all these other over-owned stacks.
All right. When you start breaking down the numbers, this looks really good. Because even if you go back to the beginning of 2019, most of these lefties have a 200 or better ISO.
They all hit for power.
Is a nice track record as well. I like hearing the X numbers in addition to that. So this is lining up to be a nice situation here. If only this was in a slightly better park, but then the masses would be joining us.
Exactly.
So we'll have to take it where we can get it. The next one, here's where the masses will be. We've got the Philadelphia Phillies wrapping up their series in Florida. Wait, but aren't they playing the Toronto Blue Jays? Why, yes, they are. However, the Blue Jays are not allowed to play at this time in Canada, so they are playing at theirs, and it's still too cold for their AAA place up in Buffalo, so they're playing in their spring training ballpark. So this is kind of interesting here. So Chase Anderson is a decent pitcher. He's an above average strikeouts, does have above average walk rate. It's approaching double digits over the last 2.5 seasons. And he has propensity for fly balls. So in this park, those could turn into home runs. In his last 484 righty-righty matchups, so same-handed matchups, usually pitchers are going to do better in same-handed matchups. He's allowing a 2.1 home run per 9.
Yeah.
Opposite-handed hitters are getting him for a 1.31 home run per 9. So we like the power here. I want to point out on Yahoo that Teoscar Hernandez is 21 and Randall Grichuk is 16. Gamers are not going to go after those guys. Those guys are both excellent in righty-righty matchups. And when they can pick people like Vladimir Guerrero at 23, Kevon Biggio at 15, Bo Bichette at 21, they're going to ignore those other two guys, go for the names they know. We want to play all of them.
Yeah.
Don't skip these guys. That's the point of this little story here. How are you feeling about the Blue Jays? The clear-cut number one. It's just no great shakes.
They're the chalk, but they're also the best chalk you're going to get on the slate. So the problem with Chase Anderson is, like you said, he is a reverse splits guy. So his best pitch is the changeup, which he throws against lefties mostly. So he gets lefties out much better than he does righties. And as we know, Toronto has a billion right-handed power options. So this is like basically the worst possible matchup for him. Not to mention it's a Little League park and it's 82 degrees in Tampa. So, I mean, everything points to the Blue Jays scoring 1 million runs here. 5.9 run projected. Like, we don't see that outside of Coors, basically ever. I just like all of these guys. I think my favorite options here are Vladdy and Teoscar. And I would throw Grichuk in there as well. The problem with Bo Bichette, like, he's so good, but his launch angle this year is 4.7. So he's hitting a ton of balls on the ground. He's hitting everything hard. But, like, the more ground balls you hit, the less projected upside you're going to have for these tournaments. You know, like, we're not looking for singles from a guy that's 5.4K. We want him to hit home runs. So I would actually avoid him in your stacks here because I think it's going to make you different. And play like, I don't know, one of the guys projected towards the bottom of the lineup here, like an Espinal or a Gurriel. Like, Gurriel hasn't been great this year, but he does have some power. But yeah, my favorite guys, Vladdy, Teoscar, Grichuk, and then throw a couple guys in from the bottom of this order. I think it's going to give you a little bit of a different stack and also a lot of upside.
All right. Now on the other side here, get up the game log. We have one Robbie Ray, king of strikeouts, also the king of walks. How many games has he gone without a walk?
He has changed the way he's pitching.
Or should I say how many innings? 20. The last 4 games, he is not allowed to walk.
Yeah.
Almost 25 total innings.
They completely revamped like his arsenal. He's throwing way more fastballs. And he's trying to limit the walks this year, which is also limiting his strikeouts, by the way. So obviously doesn't have as much upside. And he's putting balls in the middle of the plate a lot more. So he's giving up 51.1% hard hits. And 451 X slugging. That's like almost as bad as Chase, but he is getting 28% strikeouts. So, like, in this spot, I think a Philly stack makes a lot of sense as well. They're projected to be less owned than Toronto and New York, which is interesting, but we're only projecting them for 6.9% of being a top stack. So I think we're giving a little bit more credit to Robbie Ray than we should, especially the problem with this, like, now that I'm looking at the Phillies lineup, Real Muto is not in it, which is a big deal because he's one of their really good right-handed hitters. And I
figured he would be because they get the designated hitter.
Exactly. He has been playing DH, but I don't know. Like, this is not a great lineup for Philly. I think outside of like Hoskins and Baum, I don't know if I want to stack them up just because Segura is not going to give you home runs. McCutchen is hitting for a little bit of power this year, but his numbers aren't great. X slugging of 401, only 36% hard hits. That's not what you're looking for for an outfielder because he takes up an outfielder spot. Usually you want a guy that's going to give you a lot of upside at that spot. So I'm gonna retrace back here and say that the reason the Phillies aren't being projected well is because of this lineup. There's just not a lot of good hitters here. Like Harper should be in this lineup against the lefty. He hits lefties really well. Real Muto should be in it. And then you can have a decent stack. But outside of Baum and Hoskins, I don't know how interested I am.
Okay, and that makes sense. I see a 3-run shot there is asking, has either game of the Toronto series gone over in the last 2 days? No, the teams have combined for 10 runs.
Yeah,
just
but I mean, that's going to happen in baseball.
It's coming. It's coming. We're hoping it's today, but
weird things happen.
Yeah, do not lose faith on us just yet,
Exactly.
Because we're going to be going right back to these guys. All right, on to the next one here. I didn't really know what to do with this. We have Kyle Hendricks going against Detroit, just 3.7 implied run total there. On the other side, we have lefty Matthew Boyd, 4.4 implied run total for the Cubbies, who do get to have the DH because this is in an American League park. Over the last 3 seasons, Matt Boyd is allowed, is top 3 home runs allowed. That says 2 things. One, he's been pitching a lot, which shows health and shows relatively good success. But it also shows that he allows home runs. Now you're going to see Max Scherzer and Trevor Bauer up there in the top 10 or 15 for home runs allowed in that time frame. But because they're power pitchers, when hitters connect, the ball's going to go far. But they're that doesn't mean you're a horrible pitcher if you're on that list. Boyd has moments with electric stuff. What are we going to get from him today?
I mean, only 7K, but his strikeout stuff is actually down this year. Only averaging 17.9% strikeouts. It's not great, but like his walk strolls are down 5.6%, and he's only allowing 35.8% hard hits. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely a better pitcher than he was, a lot less boom or bust than we're expecting from him the last couple of years. The problem is like this Cubbies lineup is much better against lefties. And, yeah, I mean, like Chris Bryant is so good this year. I know he's expensive at 5.8K, but is 43.6% hard hits, X slugging of 549, and only striking out 22%, which we haven't been seeing from Chris Bryant. Usually a strikeout guy, walking 12% of the time. It's just a tough lineup to throw Boyd against. I don't think he's going to be owned today. We're projecting him at 2%. I wouldn't completely rule him out, but definitely not my favorite spot against this Cubbies lineup, especially with, they're not throwing a pitcher out there. They're throwing like Happ and Horner at you, which is definitely a better spot when you're facing a pitcher with the Cubbies. Yeah, but I don't know if I'm going to stack the Cubbies either, EMac. Like 4.3 runs, and they're expensive.
Why is Matt Duffy batting 5th?
It's 5 years ago in San Francisco. I don't know.
No, well, this is and yesterday I was going in and hand making a few extra Cub stacks for the slate, and I was like, I didn't end up with any Matt Duffy. Now I'm good with it. He has under 200 or under 100 ISO if it's even above 70. Yeah, son of a bitch, it's a home run.
Always happens.
Like, how is it when you that's the guy? Nah, I'm good. And you're like, you might as well hit a home run, you bastard. But now here he is hitting 5th, and it's like, really? I mean, literally pulling it up. He has a 0.059 ISO in his last 100 at-bats against lefties. That's like the ball never leaving the infield kind of extra.
He has a 423 X slugging. Yeah. Not good. 38% hard hits. Not good. His exit velocity is 87.2, below average. So, yeah, just do yourself a favor and play David Boat for $200 more at third base.
Yeah, craziness. On the other side here, we've got Kyle Hendricks, who's a mixed bag with him this year. The guys that are kind of interesting, Nomar Mazara batting cleanup is intriguing. He's relatively cheap. He's 2,200 on DK, 2,300 on FanDuel. Yahoo gave him a little love, put him up to 11, which would be like about a $3,400 hitter. On those other sites. Jonathan Scope's okay, but there's really nobody exciting here. The strikeouts to me feel like they're a little bit of a mirage. Now you've got, let's see, in their lineup, they've got 7 of their players strike out at 22% or more against righties over the last 2.5 seasons. This is like the irresistible force and the immovable object. What's going to happen? Are the Tigers going to get to Hendricks, or is Hendricks going to pitch a gem? And what happens? I just feel like this is a stay away spot.
I mean, Hendricks is going to be chalk again. Like he's been chalk every start this year. And I think he's only worked out like once. He just doesn't have very good stuff. That said, like he allows only 36% hard hits, only 6% walks. He's not going to get blown up. Only 18% strikeouts. So he also is not going to give you a ton of upside. I guess if there is any upside, it's going to come against Detroit just because they do strike out a lot. And it's mostly young hitters who like to swing hard. So that's what you get from Detroit, really. But I mean, the only guy I'm really interested in here is Robbie Grossman. Guy's just really, really good this year. 20% strikeout rate, 17% walk rate. Ex-WOBA of 385, ex-slugging of 471. Robbie Grossman at 3.3K in the leading off. Yeah, please give me all of Robbie Grossman today.
So Kyle Hendricks on the season has allowed 11 home runs. 7 of them have come in 2 games against Atlanta. Yes, back-to-back negative. He gave up 4 and 3 home runs in his 2 games against Atlanta. Apparently, they have his number. He took care of the Dodgers. Ended up with 13 ground balls, 6 strikeouts, and then he did well in both his Milwaukee starts. Half a dozen strikeouts in each, but otherwise the strikeouts have not been there, as you mentioned. In these. Interesting. All right, let's continue along here. Let me get back to my notes page. Next one we have is Jose Quintana going into Boston, taking on the Red Sox. 4.3 implied run total for both teams, actually. Close to a pick 'em as you can get here. You got Nady Eovaldi on the other side of things. Dylan Bundy got his ass kicked yesterday by the
sad. Like
I was shocked. It was like, hey, welcome back to the AL East. We remember you, but I don't expect that to be an outcome today. But if I was targeting against either team, I think I would go against Quintana.
Yeah, it's just not a great spot for him, unfortunately. He is. What do you think his strikeout percentage is this year without looking?
I wrote this down wrong. It's actually a 5.3 implied run total for Boston. I'm sorry. I must have typoed that there. What do I think his regular strikeout rate is? Like not swinging strikeout?
Yeah, like regular strikeout rate for Quintana this year.
11.1%.
31.2.
Oh, that's unsustainable. He's a ground ball pitcher, right? Isn't he? He's in the crafty lefty phase of his career. What's going on?
I mean, I don't know.
Does the rock pile do how many at home starts does he have? Does the rock pile have anything to do with
it? It's like 56 batted ball events, so it's not a ton. Like his hard hits are 43%, not good. Ex-WOBA 355, not good. 17% walks. So for some reason, he's just trying to strike everybody out, it seems. And he ends up walking a ton of people, obviously. With the green monster right there and with Red Sox not striking out much, I just don't like the spot for him. I don't know what the Red Sox are doing. Keep leading Michael Chavis off. And his let me see his strikeout rate. 40.9% strikeout rate. That's not your leadoff batter usually, EMac. Not sure why he's in the leadoff spot here. But when you go down this lineup, like strikeouts for Bogaerts 16%, JD 21, Devers 23. It gets really thin here for Quintana, and they're just smashing the ball. Like the Red Sox heart of the order is probably one of the best that we have in the league this year. So give me all of these guys. Hunter Renfroe's finally starting to hit for some power.
He's got a home run off a righty too.
I know, against the righty that I played against him, Griffin Canning. That was my spot there. Of course, he's the one that smashes him. And Bobby Dalbec, actually 509 ex-slugging. Really good to see, and hits lefties much better than he does righties. So this is a really nice Bobby Dalbec spot for me.
All right, let's look here.
2.5K. You can't beat that, EMac.
No, that is a steal of a deal there. Oh, interesting. So the Angels still only used two relievers yesterday. So their bullpen relatively fresh. They used 2 on Friday, and then they had an off day on Thursday for their travel day. So they don't have the best bullpen in the world here, but they've got a lot of fresh arms. So that means
for sure.
If somebody's getting their ass kicked, they'll just send out the next guy.
We can talk about Evaldi. I'm not sure what this lineup is going to be for the Angels, but if for some reason they put out a lineup with like Ohtani or Trout, I think it becomes interesting to play Evaldi here. Let me see what we're projecting for his ownership. Only 1%, and he's 7,700. He's having a really good year. Only 33% hard hits, 281 xWOBA, 5% walks. Strikeouts are never going to be that high, but he can go really deep into games. Ground ball pitcher, allowing really nice launch angle here. I think if we see like one of these Sunday lineups for the Angels where they're resting their good hitters, I think Evaldi becomes a really nice leverage play.
What is his strikeout rate? I haven't for
It's 22%. It's like average, but
yeah,
you know, if for some reason we get like a bunch of Taylor Wards and Buteras in here, it becomes a lot more interesting.
Definitely. All right, continuing along here, game number 6. We reached the halfway point. Reminder, if you guys have not yet hit that like button, please do. It does help us out against that pesky YouTube algorithm. We also would like to have you subscribe. We're closing in on 55,000 YouTube subscribers. That's pretty cool. What are we going to do for you? Well, I'll tell you what, we've got a promo going on right now with the promo code Gold Rush that is going to get you 25% off 1 month of Awesemo premium content. This is key because we've got all of our good stuff behind the paywall. You get player projections, ownership projections, the premium Slack channel, the lineup builder, and much more. You don't want to miss out on this one. It ends on 5/20. That would be on, let's see, what day is today? Today is Sunday, so that is going to end on Thursday. Don't sleep on this one. We also have 2 more pay-per-view events coming up. You've got the NBA playoffs that are going to start here shortly. You've got the NHL playoffs that are going on, PGA events once a week. We've got NASCAR. We've got everything you want and more. It's perfect time for all of the DFS sports going in action. So use that promo code, again, Gold Rush, all one word. It will get you 25% off the Awesemo 1 month premium package. Game 6, we've got the New York Mets at Tampa Bay. You've got I don't know why I wrote down Tampa Bay Lightning. Apparently I was thinking about hockey. Let's remove that from the note sheet. You never know what I'm doing when I'm getting distracted. We've got Marcus Stroman going into Tampa Bay. On the other side, they've got Josh Fleming. This is the game where it's the statistical tie of basically a pick 'em, yes, which we rarely see in baseball. Both teams implied to score less than 4 runs. How are you feeling about these guys for your pitching options? At best, I would be looking for a few one-offs, a few power guys on each side. Yeah. The righties against Fleming or the lefties against Stroman, but nothing overly enticing in my opinion.
Yeah, 2 ground ball pitchers, right? Like the launch angle that Stroman is giving up is 4.9. The launch angle that Fleming is giving up is negative 0.7. Yeah, just not a lot of upside for hitters or pitchers here for me. These aren't like strikeout pitchers. Fleming only averaging 13.4%, one of the lowest in the league for strikeouts, but only 34% hard hits. So like I said, everything just going on the ground. Stroman, same thing, 21% strikeouts, giving up a little bit more hard hits than Fleming. So yeah, if I was looking at anybody here, I would be looking at like Meadows and Lowe, and Choi's back in our lives. G-Man Choi, who they're all the
newly anointed switch hitter, Eamon Choi. He's back.
Yeah. Austin Meadows is actually, I want to mention him, having one of the best years as far as like expected statistics go of any batter really. His launch angle is 24.1 in 97 batted ball events, which is like the perfect launch angle for home runs. So his X slugging is 485. Does strike out a little bit too much, but 14.4% barrels this year. Really, really good. Yeah, if I was playing anybody here, I would play Meadows at 3.6K.
Yeah, that definitely looks like a misprice in this one.
Not a lot of power in this park, but definitely works as a one-off, and it's going to be low owned.
All right. On the other side, really the only one guy standing out is Pete Alonso. He's 5K.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Makes it a little tough there. There's more bang for your buck out and about, and the rest of the player pool. Looking at the pitchers, I don't think either one of these is in particular a target. As you mentioned, not enough strikeout upside to really be a huge DFS difference maker. On a lot of slates, we'd be looking at these guys as SP2s. Hey, let's get someone that's not going to get blown up in most cases. However, today, as we hit into these afternoon games, we're going to find we have a whole bunch of SP2s that actually do have strikeout upside. So this is not to dismiss these guys as being poor pitchers or players we want to target. It's just they're a casualty of the slate of us having so many more options. If this was like, a bunch of 4 and 5 starters out there in the slate, we'd be talking these guys up, especially for pitching in Tropicana Field. However, the lack of strikeouts just bumps them down the list a little bit, in my opinion. Now, here's an interesting one. So we got 2 really good pitchers going here. We have Huascar Ynoa for the Braves going against the Brewers, and we have Freddie Peralta going against the Braves. Now, the Braves are a tough lineup, but Peralta, budding ace, not quite there yet, has the potential to get there. He's a lefty. We're going to see quite a few righties in the Atlanta lineup. However, they have just a 3.4 implied run total. On the other side, not many people are going to know who Huascar Ynoa is. He is stretched out. We're definitely going to get on a pitch per dollar. That 8,500 isn't as scary when you realize he's probably going to go close to, if not a little over 100 pitches. How do you feel about these guys? Now we're talking about that. I might be planting my flag on these guys. I can't believe we're seeing these 2 teams with a 7 implied run total in Milwaukee today. That just shouldn't be happening, yet here we are.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the ownership for these guys. 38% projected ownership for Freddie Peralta. And the reason is that Acuna is not in the lineup. So, without him, the Braves lineup is just so much thinner. They have to lead off Adrianza instead of Acuna. This is a big deal. And, their 5-hitter becomes Dansby Swanson, instead of, an Albies or an Ozuna. So, yeah, it's definitely a great spot for Peralta. You are going to be taking the chalk pitcher. So he's 38% projected ownership. Ynoa's 21%. So for me, it's hard for me to say don't play Peralta because I am going to have a lot of him. Just because his stuff is so good. 39% strikeout rate. That's insane. Only 11% walk rate. Is getting better. His launch angle giving up is a little bit scary. So when he does give up hard hits, they tend to go far. But he's really changed the arsenal that he had from last year, throwing a lot more strikes, not giving up a lot of power, slugging only 231. That's really, really good. Peralta definitely the chalk, but the good chalk on this slate. On the other side, you mentioned Ynoa. They wouldn't even know who this guy was before this year. Kind of came out of nowhere. Still only a 2-pitch pitcher, really. Fastball slider guy. So that's why he's giving up 48% hard hits, slugging 465. But the fastball is really good, 97 mile an hour fastball. The slider does have a lot of break on it. So 28% strikeouts come from that. This Brewers lineup is just not very good without Yelich. I always mention that they have 2 good hitters, really. Avi Garcia is having a really good year. And Lorenzo Cain's not going to give you the power, but he's still a very competent major league hitter. So, Omar Narvaez is actually one of my favorite catcher options here, batting second. You're not going to find too many catchers batting that high up. And at 3.7K, I think he's in a really good spot against Noah, who does give up more power to lefties. I think definitely play the pitchers. I don't have any problem with it, but just know that you're not going to be different than most guys.
Yep. And that absolutely makes sense. And that's sort of back to my kind of capping everybody at 30 and seeing where it lands. I haven't dove in a ton to where our projections are, but I don't think anybody's going to be racing up to the top. So this allows me to go up or down on each of those guys, which is, again, what I'm going to do for differentiation. Baldy and the Oaf, thank you. I misspoke and said Peralta was a lefty. My apologies. Right. I was trying to count how many lefties were in the lineup, and so I was saying one thing as my mind was trying to do another. My apologies there for that one. I do see that we had a couple other good questions here. One of these, Eric Johnson asked, can you play Peralta and in the same lineup? Absolutely. And you probably still only have about a 35 to 40% chance of boxing that win, because because we've got the bullpen could get it, et cetera. So even if you're playing both sides of it, while it is not optimal, there's still a good chance you're not going to end up with the win going to one of your pitchers. So just always keep that in mind. It's baseball. It's just
don't use wins as part of your projection ever. Just too much variance.
It's the cherry on top. And that, like on DraftKings, so we spent a lot of time talking, I haven't mentioned it a lot, and it's kind of partially our strategy show for today as well. But I do want to point out that basically 2 strikeouts is worth a win on DraftKings.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. Just focus on the strikeouts. That's the most important part. The win, all it does is they may not give it up. The bullpen could blow it for them. And what happened there? That was my guy pitched a gem and he's going to get a no decision. Really? That's kind of lame. And welcome to baseball.
Yep.
All right. Sorry, got a little excited, little sidetracked there. We've got some shows coming up after us. We've got 3 different shows today for NBA. We have 2 different live before locks. There's a 5-game slate going off at 1:00, and then there is a 10-game slate starting at 7. The very robust, I think it's 4 or 5-game late slate tipping off at 9 as well. Should be a lot of fun there in the tournaments. All sorts of craziness and shenanigans going on with who's resting, who's tanking, and who's trying to avoid playing the Los Angeles teams, including the Los Angeles teams trying to avoid playing each other in the early rounds of the playoffs. So there's a myriad of scenarios that we'll have to break down on these shows behind us. I've been writing up my basketball article today, and I had to restart it 3 times because I kept getting to a point, and I wanted to prove a point, and then I'd go double check, and I realized, but if this team is going to do this, then this team needs to do that, and this team gets screwed. It's just like everything's beyond everybody's control here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be wild. Think of it as entertainment today. Don't put a lot of your bankroll at risk. Back to baseball. Kansas City Royals with Brady Singer going against Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease is really popping off the page. This strikeout, right? Yeah. What has changed from 2 years ago to the mediocre to bad 2 years ago, mediocre last year, and this year it's like, wait, don't tell me the White Sox are doing it again. How dare they? How dare they find another good pitcher? The interesting thing where I was looking at, where did I put it in here? My apologies. I wanted to say a few things about Brady Singer here. So today's going to mark Brady Singer's 20th start. He's been a relatively solid pitcher, especially when we consider that he skipped AAA. With the pandemic last year, he ended up coming in and just was thrown into the fire. Most projection systems kind of have him as a 3.5 starter, maybe a 4. So he's definitely a major league caliber pitcher. He should be in the rotation, but he's not someone that is, he's got to learn how to pitch. This is going to be start 20. So he doesn't allow a ton of power, but his last 3 outings have been pretty rough. 11 innings, 6.5 ERA, 1.2 base runners per inning. Even without Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and Adam Engel, the White Sox have a pretty darn good lineup. This is one where I actually want to talk about it just for the afternoon slate or the mid-afternoon slate. I don't really want to tangle with either of these teams in my main slate. They wouldn't make my top 5 stacks. Actually, and these I think are the 2 worst pitchers going amongst the next 4 games we're going to talk about. So we've got all the SB2s in the world coming up. Anything you want to point out on how to attack these guys or how to roll with them?
I would like Brady Singer, except he threw a really big red flag at me where his fastball velocity was down 2 miles last start, and he got smashed by Detroit. So yeah, I don't trust it. Only a 2-pitch pitcher, right? Like barely throws his changeup, I'm sorry, and basically fastball slider. Threw 81% fastballs last start. That usually tells me the guy doesn't trust the secondary pitch. And if you throw 1 pitch basically 80% of the time, you're just going to get destroyed in the majors. People are going to sit on your fastball and just smash you. I like the spot for the White Sox. I think this lineup is very deep. With Tim Anderson back, Andrew Vaughn is finally hitting the ball very hard. DK hates him, still pricing him at 2.6K. This is a guy that should be in the 4Ks. So you're getting a big discount on him. Give me the White Sox stack and give me Dylan Cease with his 31% strikeout rate. The thing is, the top 3 guys on KC don't really strike out. Benintendi, Santana, and Merrifield is a 9% strikeout rate. 9%. That's insane. So the upside is mitigated for Cease here, but his price also reflects that 7.4K. Yeah, I mean, I really like his stuff. His fastball is like 97, has a couple good secondary pitches, mixes it up. His projected stuff, his X stuff looks really good. The 11% walk rate is something he's going to have to get down if he really wants to be like a number one starter. So that's something that I would be concerned about. Other than that, I really like Cease today.
Who is it? Is it Herman Mercedes or is it Yasmani Grandal that's actually catching?
It's Grandal.
It's Grandal, right?
Yeah, but Mercedes, I think, was a first baseman on DK last couple times I looked.
Yeah, I swear I saw him. I thought I saw him as a catcher.
Maybe they changed it?
It's
they moved it back to catcher.
Yeah, I was looking at him on ESPN for a season-long league, and I'm like, what position does he really play? In any event, I want to point out that Whit Merrifield leads the league in stolen bases with 12. I was just trying to figure out if we have bad catcher behind the plate or decent catcher behind the plate, but it's going to be Grandal. If I remember, he's adequate. He's not bad, but he's not. He doesn't throw out a lot of runners. So
as far as
it shouldn't dissuade us from taking an elite base stealer like Merrifield.
No, and I actually if you want to be different in your stacks, play Grandal over over Mercedes, because Mercedes is cheaper and he's going to be higher owned, but Grandal actually averages more hard hits, better exit velocity. So I'm expecting more from him.
Right. Reminder, guys and gals, if you rock the Awesemo avatar and finish top 3 in any contest with at least 5,000 entries, shoot a screenshot over to Awesemo HOF. That's Awesemo Hall of Fame and the Awesemo_COM Twitter handle, and we'll get you a free month of Awesemo premium content. Again, that's top third in any GPP with 5,000 entries or more. Doesn't matter what the entry fee is. It could be the nickel, it could be the dime, it could be the $100 one. As long as there's 5,000 entries and you finish top 3 while rocking that Awesemo avatar, you can get 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. Want a less daunting task? The final Fred Van Elite fan club contest is going off today. All you got to do is win first out of 75 people and have that Awesemo avatar, and you will get the 30 free days. So definitely jump into that. I just dropped that link to my Twitter. It's my pinned tweet at EMac DFS, but join the Awesemo DK league, and you'll know when we post these going live. Sadly, this is it for Toronto. So I'm playing around with the idea. I got to ask permission to see if maybe we do the Alex Caruso challenge, and I have to play Alex Caruso instead of having to play Fred VanVleet, so we can keep this contest going. But I got to ask the boss man, because he does moonlight as both players. You didn't know that he really was. We've never seen Alex Baker and Alex Caruso in the same place at the same time.
Hardest working man in NBA.
Prove me wrong. All right, we are making good time here. We're going to get out a little early so we can get you guys turned over to the basketball squad. Another pair of good pitchers in this one, and I'm going to say that in the final game too. But we have Lance McCullers going against Texas, just a 3.2 implied run total. We've seen McCullers ticking up with the strikeouts. Texas, muy malo. That is very bad, very, very bad. And then you've got Kyle Gibson, who I like as a pitcher. I just don't want to take him against Houston. Now, he'll be in the mix on this 2:00 slate, but I really don't want to take Houston against him. The fact that Houston has, 4.5 or 4.7 implied run total, that's a testament more towards how good the Houston lineup is. That's not an indictment of how bad Kyle Gibson is. Gibson is a very good pitcher. What do you like or dislike from this matchup?
I mean, I wouldn't play the Astros and I wouldn't play Gibson. Astros don't strike out, right? Like at all. They have 2 guys in the lineup that average more than 21% strikeouts. Everybody else is in like the teens. Just very good lineup, very patient. But Kyle Gibson's really good this year. His projected stuff is really good. Only 34% hard hits. Doesn't allow a lot of exit velocity. Doesn't really walk anybody. 8% walks. So kind of a stay away spot from both sides for me. I mean, we should talk about McCullers. Like, this is another one of your chalky pitchers today. The highest priced pitcher on the slate, 9.6K, 30% ownership projection. But there is a lot of strikeouts in this Texas lineup. Pretty much the opposite of the Astros. where they do hit for power, but they also strike out a ton. And yeah, like you mentioned, McCullers 28% strikeout rate, really ticking up, using his knuckle curveball more, which is his best strikeout pitch. Yeah, still giving up 49% hard hits and 12% walks. So he's going to give up some runs. Like, I'm not going to expect a shutout, but the strikeout projection here is really, really nice.
All right, one more game to go. Then we'll give you our top pitchers. We'll give you the top stacks, maybe throw in a home run for the day. But reminder that promo code Gold Rush is active through Thursday. That will get you 25% off the 1-month Awesemo All Access Premium Package. It's a sweet deal. We've got all the DFS sports going on right now. It's a great time to be alive. That was maybe a bit too much, but there we go.
I mean, it is a great time to be
alive. It is a great time to be alive. Anytime's a great time to be alive, I guess. It was a bit, stop guessing, start winning. Try Awesemo today, I guess would be the better tagline. Final game of our main slate. Chris, the Basset Hound, going against Minnesota. Kenta Maeda on the other side. Another game here that's just more or less a pick. I'm okay with either pitcher, not doing cartwheels for them, but I don't want any of the bats in particular. We can always look to some of the Oakland power hitters. You can also say the same thing about the Twins, but I think if I land anywhere, it's going to be siding with the pitchers on this one. Maybe secondary stacks or some 3-man stacks from these squads, but I don't feel like a 4 or 5-man stack is warranted.
Give me an Oakland stack, EMac.
Okay.
Maeda, 488 X slugging, 46% hard hits, just hanging way too many pitches this year. He's never been like an overpowering guy. He's a guy that needs to stay on the corners and use his breaking stuff after he gets ahead in the count. Only 20% strikeout rate. Yeah, I mean, Oakland has a ton of power in this lineup. Matt Olson at 4.1K, just smashing the ball this year. 587 X slugging, still striking out less than you might think, 20%, 9% walk rate. Really love Matt Olson here. Seth Brown is dirt cheap in the middle of this lineup. I think batting second today. Also a really nice 506 X slugging, only 54 batted ball events, but still. And like Laureano, Canna, all these guys hit for power. Chapman's probably like my least favorite guy in this lineup. Jed Lowry, 498 X slugging this year. Guys hitting for more power, fixed his launch angle. My dog agrees with me. So, I mean, I really like an Oakland stack. Going to be under-owned. We have them projected for 3% ownership and 6% being the top stack today. So I think you're getting some leverage with an Oakland stack. And Minnesota finally warming up, 70 degrees today. So decent.
I was just going to say, it's a balmy 71 in Minnesota today.
That's as warm as it gets, right? That's like their summer.
All right. I see my home run call of the day. I'm just going to jump right to it. It's going to be Seth Brown because I cut him in 2 season-long weeks because I needed to make a push for pitching in the weekly scoring format. Here he is batting second.
There you go.
There you go. That's the troll home run against me here. So sort of our kind of the top pitchers, I'm going to end up being a little chalky at this point. We still have, another hour before we're completely wrapping up our lineups. But for myself, it's going to be McCullers is 1, Huskar Inoue is 2, and then probably Alex Wood is 3. Those guys are all top 5 popular plays on DK where we have to play 2 pitchers. They also have a 15% or better chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher today per the top stacks tool. Who do you like for your pitchers?
For me, I'm going to eat the chalk with Peralta, and then my other 2 guys are going to be a little bit lower owned with Dylan Cease and Alex Wood.
Okay, let's see. Where is Cease? Cease is an interesting one. So he's projected for 18% ownership, but a 16% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, which is the 4th highest. Yeah. So that's a good little call out. Of course, this will update and change as we continue to get all of the lineups, et cetera, and put in a little more of the secret sauce. But that's a good positive leverage spot there as well. For stacks, I guess it's going to be Toronto and the Giants. You're going to add Oakland on top of that.
Exactly. So for me, it's Toronto, the Giants. Oakland is like my dark horse stack today. And then I wouldn't sleep on the White Sox either.
Okay. Home run call?
Home run call. All right, give me the chalky to Oscar Hernandez today.
Okay, that's I think that is actually a good one. I think enough players are going to stay away from just the name, the hand builders, the optimizers won't, because they're not going to be influenced by the lack of name recognition. But I don't know. I still think my Seth Brown call is way off the board.
I love it. I love it.
We'll find out. No scientific reasoning on that one. But we're going to get on out of here. Again, we've got shows coming on after us for baseball or for basketball. 3 more today. You've got all sorts of fantasy goodness ahead. With that, gamers, good luck.
See you later.